I'd like to give the floor to the representative of the Centrist Democratic International.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It is an honor to sit before this Human Rights Council as a representative of the Centrist Democrat International. This presentation's purpose is to express our profound concern regarding the recent suspension of the personal representative of the High Commissioner for Cuba in human rights matters, considering that since the beginning of this year, at least 8 people have lost their lives, both in various Cuban prisons and detention centers, and also in other circumstances. We would call Yes, Mr. President. I believe that this organization is out of order, and I ask you to withdraw its right to take the floor. And I think there has been a lack of respect, and furthermore, I ask for an investigation to be carried out into this organization that is involved in fraudulent activities. For instance, yesterday it was stated that Mrs. Natalia Balusa, a human rights activist from Spain, in fact, this is a Russian who is an agent of the intelligence services of the United States using the money of that government against Cuba. And also Alonso Juarez is a Latin American activist, and this person entered Switzerland with a U.S. passport. In fact, this is a fraudulent organization which has carried out politically motivated activities with the money of another government, and furthermore, currently is completely out of order in its statement. For this reason, I wish you not to authorize this person to continue with the speech, which is full of lies and which is an example of what we should in fact be avoiding, so that the Human Rights Council yet once more doesn't become something similar to the now defunct former Commission on Human Rights. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. There are a couple of things in what you took the floor upon. First of all, concerning the remarks or the allegations you've made about the activity of this NGO, I would kindly suggest to have a documented request presented to the NGO committee so that they would look into the matter accordingly. Second, as for the demands concerning the action of the Bureau concerning this very NGO, I would highly appreciate if a demand or written letter were sent to the Bureau so that we look into it and we decide furthermore. Third, and this is related to what I have already said before, I would kindly ask and insist that floor be taken by speakers on items that relate to the either of the agenda or to the statement of the High Commissioner. Let me emphasize that this is not only a matter of courtesy and respect, it is also a matter of discipline in this body. Unless we observe that, I will be forced to take the right to intervention, also because we cannot afford to waste time with such matters. I thank you very much for your cooperation, and if the distinguished delegate who was taking the floor consents to focus his speech on matters as presented above, he is free to continue. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the important topics before us is that of impunity. The impunity of 8 persons who died in Cuban prisons in the first few months of this year, 2007. I have the names, circumstances of death of these persons for these cases to be investigated by the Public Prosecutor's Office in Cuba.
It's a point of order raised by the distinguished representative of Cuba. You have the floor, sir.
No, parece que como no es...
It seems that since this is not really an NGO, since in fact it is an entity set up for political motives, if there are some allegations that have to be clarified, I insist on the fact that we do have the mechanisms, and this information can be given to the Office of the High Commissioner for investigation, but that is not really their interest. Their interest is to politicize this and to manipulate the work being done by our council in order to take us back to the past, which is something we want to leave behind us. So consequently, sir, I think this is really too much for us to have to continue to listen to this person, and it would have been better for him to have used his money to go back to his own hotel and to carry out other activities outside this room, because really he has no idea what we're supposed to be doing here. It is simply making fun of the seriousness with which we do our work. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. I also like to make a kind request to delegations when taking the floor on any matter, including points of order, to try to keep a cool approach, if I may put it that way. Let me tell you that under these circumstances, as I have said, we have asked the distinguished Cuban delegations to provide with the necessary documentation to the NGO. Since this request has been reiterated, I would have to rule that for the time being I suspend the right of the floor that was given to the organization.